Some things seem harmless. Habits, little decisions, familiar routines. We do them without thinking. Especially when living alone, it feels like you have full freedom. No one interrupts, no one judges. But with age, one thing becomes clearer: consequences rarely arrive right away. They accumulate. Quietly. Day after day. And at some point, they show themselves. That's when you realize loneliness isn't just silence in the house. It's an environment where everything you do, or don't do, affects you more deeply than it used to. Today, we at Elderly Counsel have prepared 5 things you should avoid if you live alone. At first glance, they are not dangerous. But over time, they can lead to consequences no one warns you about. The first one is especially deceptive because it often feels helpful. The first thing to avoid is skipping meals. Especially breakfast. Especially when the morning feels calm, unhurried, with no plans ahead. When living alone, daily rituals tend to dissolve. There's no need to set the table, no one to cook for. The appetite isn't strong, and motivation fades. I'll eat later, maybe just a quick sandwich. No sense making a meal for one. Sound familiar? It seems harmless. But it's not just about the food. Skipping a meal isn't just being hungry. It shifts the body's biochemistry. It spikes blood sugar, disrupts insulin rhythms, slows the metabolism. And all this happens at an age when the body is already less adaptive, when hormonal responses are slower, and even small imbalances matter more. This is especially important in the morning. Because breakfast isn't just nourishment. It's a signal to the body that the day has started. It activates the wake cycle, kickstarts the system. If that signal doesn't come, the body stays in a kind of metabolic limbo. It doesn't know if it's time to wake up. Everything runs at half speed. Fatigue, anxiety, brain fog, lack of energy, these aren't always signs of age or poor sleep. Sometimes, they're just the body reacting to missing that morning anchor. It's unsure, is the day even happening? But there's a deeper side to this. For those who live alone, it's not just about irregular meals. It's about the loss of meaning around food. Meals become technical, accidental. Eating stops being an act of care. It becomes fuel, nothing more, a routine fix for a growling stomach. Over time, this dulls the sense of taste, reduces digestive enzyme production, weakens appetite. Then weight loss begins. Or, the opposite, weight gain from quick carbs and processed foods. Both paths lead to problems: blood pressure spikes, disrupted sleep, loss of vitality. So what can you do if you live alone and don't want to cook fancy meals every day? There's no need for complicated solutions. It starts simple. Eat at the same time every day. Even if it's just something light, yogurt, oatmeal, a boiled egg, the body needs to know nourishment is coming. That helps it work more confidently. Turn breakfast into a ritual. Not for anyone else. For you. Set the table, even if it's just for one. Choose a mug you like. Open the window. Create a moment where you feel, I'm worth caring for. Don't use food to fill silence. In other words, avoid unconscious eating while watching TV or scrolling. 10 minutes of mindful eating is better than 30 distracted ones. There's another tip: talk about what you eat. It might sound strange, but it works. Call a friend, a neighbor. Say, I had oatmeal with apple this morning. It's not about reporting. It's about reinforcing a habit. Giving meaning back to the act of eating. Because meaning is what we miss most when living alone. Skipping meals isn't only about missing food. It's about losing structure in your day. And structure is what gives us rhythm, orientation, grounding. The longer it's lost, the harder it is to regain. That's why catching it early matters. Sometimes, self-care doesn't start with something big. It starts with something small. A proper breakfast, on time, and with intention. The second thing to avoid is excessive silence. At first, it seems harmless. When you live alone, the silence becomes part of your day. You wake up, quiet. You make breakfast, quiet. You read, clean, sit, move from one room to another, all in silence. Hours pass, and not a single word is spoken. It feels normal. Peaceful, even. But there's a hidden cost. Speech isn't only for communication. It's a vital part of how the brain stays active. When we talk, especially out loud, we engage neural circuits that are responsible for memory, focus, coordination, and emotional regulation. Speaking stimulates breathing, posture, vocal muscles, and thought processes, all at once. Without this daily use, those systems begin to slow down. This is one reason many older adults report that their thoughts become slower, or that they'd search for words more often. It's not always aging. Sometimes, it's just lack of practice. The mental wires remain, they just lose conductivity from disuse. Some researchers refer to this as cognitive underuse. It happens gradually. At first, you simply pause more when trying to say something. Then, you avoid longer explanations. Then, you begin to avoid phone calls or conversations altogether. Not because you don't care, but because it's become unfamiliar. Uncomfortable. The irony is, this withdrawal only feeds itself. The less you speak, the harder it becomes to speak. And the more isolated you feel, even inside your own mind. So, how can you protect yourself from this? The answer isn't complicated, but it does require intention. Read aloud every day. Choose a favorite book, magazine, poem, or even a recipe. Read slowly. Clearly. Let your voice carry the words, even if no one hears them. This engages your vocal cords, breath, articulation, and it brings rhythm back to thought. Narrate your day out loud. It might feel silly at first, but saying things like, "Now I'm folding laundry," or "It's time to water the plants," gives structure to your brain. It reconnects internal thought with external expression. Talk to your plants. Or pets. Or yourself. The point isn't the audience, it's the sound. Your body listens when you speak. It doesn't matter who you're talking to. If you can make a daily call, even a short one, that's ideal. But even without that, you can keep your voice alive. It's not about being heard. It's about staying connected to yourself. And one more note, try to sing. Even quietly. Even off-key. Singing stretches breath and emotion in ways that simple speech does not. It lightens the body and opens the chest, which often closes down when we feel alone. The third thing to avoid is complete physical stillness. Especially the kind that settles in when there's no one around to pull you outside. When you live alone, there are fewer prompts to move. No one is waiting for you. No one is calling from the next room. Deliveries arrive at your door. The stairs seem unnecessary. The day unfolds within a few square meters, chair, table, bed. And with time, your body learns, it is no longer expected to move. But that's exactly when it must. Movement is not about exercise, youth, or weight. It's about reminding the body that it's alive. When you move, even just a little, you stimulate blood flow. Muscles stretch. Joints stay lubricated. Your brain receives more oxygen. The gut processes better. The lymph system drains more efficiently. Your nervous system stabilizes. Stillness may feel restful, but too much of it creates a stagnation that seeps into everything: your digestion, sleep, mood, even memory. So what does movement look like for someone who lives alone? Purposeful walks. Not for steps. For air. For light. For texture underfoot. Even a short walk around the block resets the body's sense of direction. Stand up every hour. Set a reminder, or simply pay attention. Stand. Stretch. Rotate your arms. Look out the window. Let your spine extend. These moments prevent stiffness from becoming your default state. Turn chores into rituals of motion. Dust one shelf. Wipe one counter. Sweep one corner. It's not about deep cleaning, it's about activating the body in the course of ordinary life. Add gentle challenges. Reach higher. Sit on the floor and stand back up, if safe. Balance for a few seconds on one foot. These micro practices keep the body responsive. The National Institute on Aging has found that even light physical activity, just 30 minutes a day, improves sleep, balance, mood, and reduces cognitive decline. Not because of calories burned, but because the body remembers movement as its native language. What matters most is that you don't surrender to stillness. It feels subtle at first. A skipped walk. A day spent in the same chair. But the consequences add up, not just in the muscles, but in the mind. Movement reconnects you to the day. To rhythm. To time. When you move, even slightly, your body says, I'm here. I'm part of this. Fourth thing to avoid, staying in the same emotional state day after day. It usually feels neutral. Not sad, not anxious, just flat. Days pass with the same emotional color, grayish, quiet, uneventful. One blends into the next. It doesn't feel alarming. But it slowly wears you down. When a person lives alone, their emotional environment is self-contained. There's no natural mirror, no spontaneous laughter from another room, no small frustrations, no surprise interactions. Everything is muted. And it might seem that this calm is a sign of peace. But emotional flatness is not balance. The brain and body need contrast. They need some kind of temperature, variation, stimulation. Without it, dopamine production weakens. Motivation drops. You begin to feel disconnected from the flow of life. Instead of living in the day, you live next to it. At first, you may just notice you're not as excited about your morning coffee. Then you stop looking forward to the things you used to enjoy. You say, I don't care, more often. This is not laziness. It's emotional blunting, and it builds silently, without a clear trigger. How do you bring color back into your emotional day? You introduce contrast, small doses of newness. Not big events. Just something that breaks the pattern. For example, play music that you don't usually listen to. Try a new genre. Even if you don't love it, it moves the emotional dial. Watch a favorite movie from the past. Let it reconnect you to remembered feelings. Change something small in your space, a candle, a bright scarf on the table, a plant in a new corner. Visual shifts can open internal space. Another helpful practice is to keep a gratitude journal. Just 3 short lines each day. This isn't about pretending everything's fine, it's about training the brain to scan for light, even in overcast hours. With time, it works. You begin to notice what warms you again. Also consider speaking your emotions aloud. Today felt slow. I miss people. But I like the way the light fell on the wall. Expressing even the tiniest feelings helps your emotional system stay flexible and alive. Fifth thing to avoid, complete absence of physical touch. It's a delicate topic, but one we must talk about. Touch is not just a physical act. It's a form of self-regulation. Through touch, the body receives confirmation, I exist. In relationships, it happens naturally, a hug, a pat on the shoulder, even brushing past someone. But when living alone, touch can disappear completely. And the brain reacts to this absence. It begins to lose connection with the body. You feel more like a mind floating in space, not grounded in your skin. This can deeply affect mood, sleep, stress levels, and immune response. Many older people stop even small touch habits, brushing their hair slowly, rubbing lotion into their arms, gently holding their own hands. Yet these small actions are the most accessible forms of connection. They may seem simple, but their impact is profound. So how do you bring touch back into daily life when there's no one else around? Massage your hands or feet with lotion or oil. Slowly. With intention, Not as a chore, but as a ritual. Use a soft brush or cloth to gently stroke your arms, legs, shoulders. This stimulates sensory nerves and increases oxytocin, the hormone of calm. Hug yourself. Yes, literally. Sit down, wrap your arms across your chest, hold yourself. Stay there. Close your eyes. This is a real psychological practice, not a gimmick. Also, warmth mimics touch. A warm bath, a heated blanket, a weighted pillow, they all send signals to the nervous system: you're safe. You're here. Even touching meaningful objects, holding a photo frame, turning the pages of a favorite book, wearing a familiar sweater, can ground the senses and reduce emotional disconnection. 5 things. 5 habits that seem natural when you live alone, but quietly eat away at your well-being. Each one is like a slow leak. Not loud, but steady. If you catch them in time, you can preserve something vital in your body, your mind, and your spirit. Sometimes, self-care doesn't begin with action. It begins with noticing what's missing and gently bringing it back. We at Elderly Council thank you for being here with us. If you recognized something in this video, share it in the comments. It means a lot to us. It helps us create more videos that speak to what really matters and support others who may feel the same. Subscribe, leave a like, and tell us what topic you'd like us to cover next. Maybe your experience will become the foundation for our next story. Take care of yourself. Listen to yourself. And may each day, even in solitude, feel full of life.